Welcome everyone to another episode of Travels and Wildlife Photography. We are coming to you this time from
the West End.
We're in a hotel, guys. How rare is that for us? We just spent an amazing week in Florida, and we're back here. We're going to tell you all about that. But Emilie's mom was kind enough to gift us this really nice hotel stay. So we've been here for a few days, which is wonderful. And we had a beautiful walk on the beach this morning.
Yes.
Amazing sunrise. You got us up nice and early.
I did.
Yeah, which is opposite. Usually I'm the one getting you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Emilie got us up, and we had a nice walk on the beach yesterday as well. We're trying to get in as much last minute photography as we can here in Hilton Head because, as we mentioned on the last episode, we weren't sure if we were going to have some time to get back here, but this is definitely going to be our last one recording here.
Right.
And I think our last chance to do photography here, well, maybe not ever,
not
but
ever.
You know,
let's just
with the convenience of having your mom living
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we had a great time, and we just spent an amazing time in Florida. Here's some of our favorites: doing a lot of underwater photography at Rainbow Springs, and it's been hot here. I've been saying that. I'm looking forward to getting out of the summer heat already. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, soon you're heading to Alaska.
Yep. So Emilie and I, we won't be doing these for a little while now. So this is gonna be the last one for a bit because we're not gonna see each other for a month, which is weird. It's been a long time since we've been apart that long.
Yeah. Probably like a year.
Yeah. We did a lot of that in our first couple years, but Emilie's going out to visit her family in LA for a week, and then while she's there, I'll be going up to Alaska to run my gnome workshops up there, which I'm really excited for. And then we reconvene back in Maine. Yes.
Yep.
And you're going to do a road trip with your mom, her first road trip in the van, so that's going to be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got a lot going on, and then when I get to Newfoundland, it's right into my Newfoundland workshops up there, so I'm not sure when we're going to get back to one of these Travel and Wildlife episodes. We'll try and do it again as soon as we can, as soon as we get some opportunity, but it might be a little while. So with that being said, let's dive into some of our favorites here. We'll get started right in the beginning. So this was a surprise.
Yeah, so on our way to the Springs, we decided to spend a night at Huguenot Memorial Park once again, just to see. It was, make the drive shorter the next day and see what was around.
Yeah, we were anxious to see if it was how it was again because we only experienced the one time.
Yeah. So on our way out, we decided to walk, this way, different way than we had in the past.
Yep.
And pretty much right away saw these
the adult Wilson's
plovers. Yeah. And then you were like, oh my gosh, there's chicks.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the chick run around out there, one of them, and they were so speedy.
Yeah, oh my gosh, so fast.
I always forget how fast plover chicks are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
they're really
insane.
fun.
So, yeah, you were shooting the 400-2.8, and then I had taken out, that's a super fun moment.
Isn't that funny?
Is that the chick or
No,
one of the,
two adults going at each other.
Yeah.
There was like 3 or 4 adults in the one area with the chick, and so there was a lot of kind of chaos going on, which we noticed rather quickly and
decided to leave rather quickly because we didn't know if our presence was disturbing the birds.
Yeah, so usually with shorebirds like this, I've not worked with Wilson specifically, but usually with shorebirds like this, if you come into an area and notice a disturbance, the first thing we do is just like lay down and get low, which we did. We got ourselves low, and then usually they kind of like settle down and it's like you're not there. But with this group of birds, we noticed that they kept being a little bit more just on edge, and there was a lot of calling, and some of these adults were flying around and stuff. So yeah, we thought there was a chance it was us, so let's get out of here. So we didn't last long in there, but
got a few shots of the chick.
Yeah, adorable little thing.
Yeah.
Super long legs on these guys.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it
Look
looks
at that.
so funky proportion.
I know. He was up on his toes on that one. It was really funny. Yeah.
Yeah, you got some great shots.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I brought the 400-2.8 out for this one, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't I? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, had a good time with that. And then we got out of there.
Yep.
Yeah. You saw this oyster catcher. I don't think I got anything of him, so that's
No.
kind of cool. I like the
Yeah, I
clouds in
kind
the
of like it,
background there.
and like the grasses in the front.
Yep, totally, yeah. It was blah light though. That was the one bummer. Pretty
It was
cloudy.
pretty cloudy.
Yeah, pretty cloudy, but we did get that beach to ourselves again. So I know we're giving the secret out there, but my gosh, what an incredible experience.
It was really cool.
To be on that beach completely alone. This time we had about 2 hours before sunset to be able to do that. So nice to see sanderlings in breeding plumage.
Yeah.
I know you don't get to see them that way too often.
Yeah.
Neither do I, actually. So, yeah, or the pelicans. So we were concentrating on trying to get some of them flying over the dunes there with the grasses and stuff like that.
That's a cute one.
Yeah. But yeah, the light. I mean, like, it shows off the bird fine.
Yeah.
It's just, we've shot these same scenarios.
In like golden light
good light
most of the time.
And so this just makes it like, listen, if you've never been and never seen these birds, or this is your first time on a beach photographing these stuff, it's still a great experience.
Sure, yeah.
You know, to get them that close, like this turnstone walked right up to us when we laid down. And, you know, I mean, it's a beautiful photo. It really shows off the coloration of him. But we have them in this beautiful light from other occurrences. And so it just kind of makes it like a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah,
in a way.
Sometimes overcast at the beach is just kind of blah.
Blah. Yeah, very. Very blah. Now, if you can find some vegetation and get some color in there, I think then it works fine. And so that's what I was concentrating on with these laughing gulls here. This one, I don't know why it was like one adult regurgitating to another, unless it's like
it might be a courtship
early
thing.
chick. Yeah, I don't know. Ew. Interesting behavior. But yeah, like this kind of stuff. I feel like this works. You get some tone in the background.
Yeah.
And you know, they're so pretty.
They really are,
I just love, I know we've talked about it before, but I love the red eye line and then those white eyelashes are really cool. So
that's a fun pose,
I like that curious looking pose there. So we shot a few of that, and then this was cool. You took out
I had the 28 to 4. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That one's really neat. I love the way that lays out.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So the sky is really cool there too.
And then just doing some flight shots toward the end. The clouds really are what it's about.
That's what we noticed, right? It was like the clouds were kind of interesting, even though it was flat and dull. There was some interest in the sky, so you were concentrating on that, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I couldn't show much of the clouds because I had a 400 millimeter stuck at 400 millimeters.
Right.
So I was concentrating on some of these flight shots, just trying to get something of interest there. With these royal terns, you just saw a sandwich turn a little bit ago.
Yeah.
These guys flying around with some fish. I thought
that's kind of fun.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought the formation and the behavior was really neat there.
Yeah, that is cool.
I love the ones swooping up from the bottom.
Yeah, and just really nice wing positions too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I lucked out on that one.
Yeah.
And then a little royal tern courtship, and then again just flying over the dunes. And then on our way out, we stumbled upon this great egret. And that was it. That was all we shot there. We just did one
outing, one evening. Yeah.
Yeah, because the next morning
it was crazy stormy.
That's right.
The whole night it was like crazy rains and storms. The van was just like
shaking all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It sure was. And that leads us to Rainbow Springs. I'm almost glad we didn't get to stop there the last time when we were coming through.
How come?
Well, because I don't think we would have been able to stay as long.
Right, yeah.
I just don't think it was like in our schedule at the time, you know? And so I'm almost glad that it worked out this way, that we ended up planning a whole separate visit back just for there.
Right.
You know? I don't know. I mean, it's possible we could have been able to stay, but I feel like with the way these campgrounds are working there to get a full week booked, we already had to kind of bounce around sites at the campground. So, yeah, it was nice. And so my sister and her boyfriend came in and stayed with us for 2 nights. Stayed with us. They brought a tent and stayed in the campsite and brought their paddle boards because they've been there before. They were the ones that actually introduced us to this place.
Yeah, and we went, what did they say it was 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
I still can't believe it. I'm still like, that's not 3 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that long ago.
I know.
Like, what?
It goes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Time goes fast, yeah.
Jeez, that's crazy to me still.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so for anybody that's not familiar with any of these natural springs in Florida, I think we got a video here. So we'll get into that, but I just wanted to kind of describe, like, here's a best example of like
how beautiful it is under the water. It's
what
just
it can look like there.
So blue and clear and stunning.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I think we have a photo. I think there's one photo in here from above. Yeah, so you can kind of just see the clarity of the water there.
Yeah.
And if you get in certain areas, even from above the water, you can just see this incredible blue, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so just an absolutely amazing place just to see with your own eyes in the first place, right?
Right.
Let alone anything else. But we went there with the goal of trying to really use this underwater housing.
Yeah.
And the dome port. So we really wanted to get the split level stuff because we had some experience and gotten a few shots we were happy with in Sebastian when we were shooting in Florida.
Right, just like wading birds.
But that was in more of an entirely saltwater and ocean environment. And the water's pretty clear there.
Yeah.
But nothing like this stuff. This stuff is like being in a pool, you know?
Yeah. Except for if the movement, there's grasses, aquatic grasses. So then if you're walking around in there, then it stirs it up and it makes it.
Yes, you can make it kind
more
of
murky.
Yes.
But it calms as the water.
It flushes it out. There's always current, just cleaning it up.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we knew, like, we'd been to these springs before. We knew the water clarity was incredible. We also seen birds there.
Yeah, cormorants.
You had a really cool video of, what was the one from years ago?
I feel like it was an Anhinga.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Emilie had just stuck her phone in when we were near an Anhinga once.
Yeah.
I think on that 3-year ago visit, or maybe that was a different spring. I think it was a different
spring, yeah.
But, you know, at one of these springs, and got this incredible video of this bird swimming underwater hunting.
Yeah.
It's just like this view into their world that you never get to see from above water.
Right.
And you normally never see in such clarity.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's not just clear there, as you guys will see. The underwater environment is stunning.
Like interestingly beautiful.
In so many places, right?
Yeah.
The grasses and just even the layout.
Textures.
And the rocks and sand and stuff under there. So we knew it was an amazing place to go. And now that we had some experience with the housing, we're like, that's probably where we're maybe going to be able to get our best stuff. And I would have to say, hands down, we did. Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I still am really happy with some of the stuff we did
in Sebastian
with our first go around with it. Yeah. But this stuff was just, to me, like absolutely over the top.
Oh, you were going to show the video?
Yeah, we'll show a video here to get started. Oops. Maybe. Don't know what I'm doing. Let's try that again. There we go.
So this was our first outing, and I think as a cormorant. Yep.
Yes.
Blasting up out of the water, and then whoop, right back down.
And that cloudiness was
from him. Yeah.
Stirring up the bottom there, and I don't know if.
So that was a good one too.
Yeah, there's another one right here. This one is really cool. I didn't see this until you sent it to me just a little bit ago.
Oh, no?
With the fish.
Yeah.
Starting out in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let me get this out of the way just to get it started there.
Yeah, so you were shooting the housing, and I was just doing some phone video. And this cormorant kind of just kept fishing in the same area. So
it was next to us, yeah. I'll play that again while you're talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it was just a great opportunity for the first go around that we had this cormorant like so close by.
I was 2 minutes from where we put the boat in.
Yeah, we realized kind of like the birdiest area was right by where we put in our boat. So.
Yeah, which was amazing. That was really awesome. And
so those are probably from that.
So this was from that first outing. So we're getting, this was the shots we got on the first outing. We were only out, I had a job that night.
Yep.
So we were only out for like
an hour
tops
and a half
on the water.
Yeah.
And we pulled like that shot. Emily got some of these videos. I got this one, which I didn't realize.
Probably like around the same time,
that's
too.
the same fish,
yeah.
for sure, right in that same moment there.
So that's cool.
It's a big largemouth bass and this cormorant. Now, shot the 10 millimeter on the first outing, figuring that was going to be the best. But like, this is the problem, guys. Like, I think you saw in that video how close we were, even with the phone, which the phone's kind of wide to begin with. 10 millimeter is just extreme. I should experiment and see how close it is to like the ultra wide lens on the phone.
Oh yeah,
to see if that's kind of a good approximation for people to understand how wide this thing is.
Oh yeah.
And so the challenge is, we're shooting a higher aperture to try and get both above and below water in focus, and so we don't get depth of field to play with on the background here. So I did a lot of post-processing on this one just to make that bird stand out, because actually, and I can show here in the original, he's not going to show that well in the original. Like, look at that. It's kind of like washed out.
Yeah.
But even if I like darken that exposure to see, he just blends into that surrounding, right?
Yeah.
And so, I definitely overexposed them as well. And this was when we first realized, I think I even said it, that I was like, I can't see a thing. Because I was shooting from the boat.
Right.
Trying to do the split level thing.
Right. And you didn't think you got any shots.
I didn't think I got anything. So I was blown away that I got that, and then I got this one with him diving in the fish there.
That is really cool.
But I had no idea because I couldn't see anything. I was trying to use the
back of the screen.
The back screen on the camera, but it's already in a housing, which is extra reflecting.
And then just like the light, like the sun,
the light's happening
the
off,
water,
reflecting off of everything. And the thing is like a speck in your viewfinder. Like you can't see at all what you're doing. You can't see, can't really see the split. You need to have your eye in the viewfinder.
Yeah, or you just kind of have luck.
Get luck. But we realized like after a while, basically what we learned is to shoot the split level stuff, you need to be in the water and have your eye in the viewfinder.
Right.
We couldn't do it in the water by just swimming. I tried holding onto the side of the boat.
Yeah.
Trust me, it was not working. It was just too chaotic.
Yeah, we were thinking like maybe in the future of using like a noodle.
Yeah, like a pool noodle. We needed some kind of flotation.
Yeah.
Just to keep you up buoyant a little bit, because to shoot the split level, your viewfinder is still above the water.
Right.
And you need to keep your eye above the water. Well, when you're in there swimming, like to get your eye, like forget it. It just wasn't happening, right?
Yeah.
So you needed to be either A, standing on the ground to shoot that, or we realized we could shoot just underwater stuff.
Yeah, from the boat.
From the boat by just putting a lens under and shooting and pressing the focus button, right? Because we were shooting a high enough aperture, plenty of depth of field, and 10 millimeter was seeing everything.
Kind of luck, like, whether or not.
All you had to do was point in the general direction. You were going to get the bird in there if it was out there, right?
Right.
So that's what we learned with our trial and error on this. This was the next morning, I think. I don't think we had that egret that evening.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but I was going to say, because I started out with the 24 millimeter the next morning, because I realized how wide the 10 was. I was like, it's a little bit wide. Let me try the 24. Put the 24 in, went in for this bird.
Well, that's 10.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I think I went in for this bird. Yeah. At first, or maybe there was another one, and then I quickly realized like the top and underwater portion were so different focus-wise. The underwater portion was just completely out of focus if I was then focused on the bird, even at like f10, f11. And so I was like, this isn't going to work, because I really want to show off this underwater portion. It's not happening. So I went back to the 10 and then went out and we basically stuck with the 10 for the rest of the shoot.
Yeah, and then I think, was that the morning that, that wasn't the day that I had the 400? Not yet.
No, because this was the day we did the long paddle with my sister and her friend. We were going to be out most of the day. So we just kind of figured we would just get a little bit of shooting in. You know?
Right.
And we did. We got some stuff in.
Yeah.
These are just some of the selects. We don't have everything in here. This is when we paddle all the way up to the spring head. So this is where it's probably the most clear, because the water's just coming out of the ground, which is why it's so filtered and clear and beautiful. But in spots, guys, it's like 20 feet deep in some areas. Like, it's just crazy how far you can see under the water.
Oh, and there's our boat, the shadow of our boat.
Yeah, this is the shadow of us. There's the shadow of, I think, somebody else on a paddleboard or something like that over there. It's kind of funny. Yeah. These are these trees all the way back in this corner that is this scene when you paddled into it. And so, yeah, this one has the turtle sitting there, if you didn't notice them.
Two turtles.
Yeah, two of them, which I don't blame you, because again, they blend in.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge of all of this is, trying to, you can't use depth of field at all to separate your subject. So you need other ways of doing that. And this is not ideal, but I couldn't not keep this.
But it is such a beautiful, lush scene. So like, I think it's still just nice to have.
I agree. I think it's so cool to see the connection of that above and below world, and how they're both in this particular spot so lush and so much vegetation, both under and over water there. And then sporadically we'll have some shots in here just of the underwater, because it's so damn pretty. Yeah. It's just that nice. And then this guy happened. Yeah. This guy, I would say, was probably the star of our show the entire time we were there. This was the first full day we were there. And it started out with him bathing. Right. You saw him in the water. We were past splashing around, and you're like, he's going to go up on that log. I called it. Yeah. So we paddle over to where he's splashing around right on this log, this little stump that's sticking out. And I could tell. I knew he was going to try and get up on there. So we paddled over there, and then again with the wind and the currents and all that, we accidentally, like, the boat, our was kayak, pretty much right in front of him, pushed up against the stump that he was trying to get up on, which was not our intention. No. We didn't want to do that at all. But he just stayed there. It was like we weren't even there. He was just basically like, can you get out of my way? Waiting for us to move. And so we did. We paddled out of the way, and sure enough, he popped right up. So we paddled upstream a little bit. I hopped out because I knew I wanted to shoot split level, and it was shallow enough there for me to stand. And so that's what brought us to this. of me walking right up to this bird. And we have some behind the scenes of both me and Emilie working with this bird. We ended up shooting, I don't know if it was the same cormorant, but a cormorant on this exact stump 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
Different times, obviously.
Different time of day, different lighting.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I gotta say, I was looking at some of the last days where we had that most interesting, I thought, light coming in, because it was the lowest, it was like our earliest day out.
You're right.
The sun was lowest in the sky. But this one still compares favorably.
Oh, yeah.
It really does, you know, because that one was so kind of severely backlit for a lot of it. That does introduce some other problems with clarity with the housing and with just the water clarity. It lights up any stuff in the water. And yeah, so this is just the rest of the trip. We're hanging out. There's my sister's friend standing on the paddleboard, just these fish swimming around. I got these little guys. I don't know if you've seen these yet.
I don't think so.
Tiny
that
fish
is fun.
in the vegetation was kind of cool. And there they are swimming around right there again.
Yeah, that is cool just to see the split there.
Yeah. This one I wanted big time, this Anhinga, but he didn't let me get this any closer. And at 10 millimeter, it was like, nope.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that it's a nice scene.
Yeah.
And like having those grasses just, you know, draw your eye that way, you know?
Yeah,
I feel like there's definitely something to it.
The current was moving the grasses just right. It was just like, if I could have just cut the distance, say, in half.
In half, yeah.
I think he would have stood out enough up there because he was up in the sky. Yeah, here's our whole crew having a good time that day. There they are paddling. This is another great example of like, you can just see how clear that water is. Yeah. Because there's the fin of that paddleboard sticking down. Right there. Yeah. It was so refreshing. It was needed. Yeah. To get in the water sometimes.
Yeah, it was like hot. 85 plus.
Yeah. Yeah. Hot. Sunny. So sunny. Then we had some fun actually taking photos of each other in the water in this really beautiful spot. Yeah. Yeah. So we each did some of those shots, which was really fun. I mean, we had so much fun. Yeah. On the whole trip and with this housing, which is incredible. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it's an ideal place to use it. Yeah. Yeah. If you're not like out in the Bahamas where it's also super clear. Right? Yeah, exactly. You know, like this is just a close second. Yeah. And like even there, I can't think of where you'd get a lot of opportunity with birds. Yeah. And that was still by far our focus, you know? Oh, yeah, for sure. And I also wanted to add, we are showing just some selects here. I have some photos that I took with this housing that to me, I think are really at the level of I want to enter into some contests coming up in the future. So I'm actually gonna hold those back and not share them. Both here and on social media, just to give them the best chance when I do share them. So I can't show everything today, but we're showing a lot of it. But yeah, a really nice opportunity with this little blue heron. And then this was one of these great opportunities, where I got to finally show above and below. You know, so many fish. So many fish. And the turtle. Turtle, cormorant, and then another cormorant showed up. Yeah. You know, and there's still, you can see fish. Like, a couple of fish sporadically down here. And that color of the blue water is just so beautiful. You know what's really interesting with this, I photographed just the fish too, because I was like, they're so neat and they're right here, you know. But this blue, we noticed the other day, we were setting up some photos. I was exporting a photo and I was like, it looks less vibrant. Yeah. And what did you figure out? Like, it popped into my head. I was like, this color looks pretty intense. So I kind of thought, let's do an experiment. I'll bet you it's the sRGB color profile, which is the standard color profile you want to convert everything into and embed when you're going to share it anywhere. Share online, email, text, all that kind of stuff, right? Because that's what most of basically the internet works on is sRGB. But it's a limited color space compared to what we get to see in Lightroom. So we export another version with ProPhoto color space in it, which is the largest color space that you can embed. And then sure enough, open them in Photoshop. The ProPhoto one, all the colors vividly matched. The sRGB one looked a little bit flatter and dull. Yeah. So like the natural colors in this scene are just beyond the color space of what is normally shared on the web. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. There was nothing we can do about it. Yeah. Like you can't export that photo and then saturate it more. Like I even played with it. Just there's no more color to be had in sRGB. Yeah, that's wild. In that blue tone. Yeah. So the reality is, does it show up here? No, it's not going to show here in this recording, I don't think. Yeah. But the reality is, like the vibrancy of this water won't be able to translate when we share these photos. Right, which is a shame. It is. It's kind of wild. What can you do? Yeah. Yeah, it's just like the limitations of the technology, really. Yeah. You know? But anyway, this whole encounter was incredible. I snuck up on these cormorants, and like this first shot I was shooting under. This is just a little log, by the way. I mean, that log that I'm under is maybe like this big, right? Not that big, but with that 10 millimeter, everything's stretched, everything's exaggerated. So it almost looks like I'm in a cave.
Yeah, it creates a really nice just framing, natural framing.
Yeah. So I sneak up and I'm walking through, like Emily said, these grasses, and it's pretty gnarly, guys.
Yeah.
It's like funky.
I mean, you can kind of see in the photo, like if you zoom in on that, like mucky,
all this stuff,
dirty stuff.
Yeah.
But gooey.
It took you till the end to be able to get in.
I did once, like 2 different occasions.
Yeah.
I mean, I got in the water just to swim and cool off.
Yeah, but you did not like touching the grasses.
I didn't like touching the grasses, and I thought there could be a secret alligator hiding there in the grasses, and he would just, I'd stand on his head, and then he'd munch my foot off.
Yes, which I will also add, it's nice to not be stepping on the grasses as much as possible. We're trying not to, because it does destroy the environment underwater there. So you don't want to be just like traipsing all over and like damaging it as much. Like keeping damage to a minimum is key during this. So a lot of the times when we were in the water just for swimming, we were in deeper water, so we weren't hitting anything. But to get this stuff, like I did have to walk up on the shoreline, and again, I would try to just take one step in each spot and not like sit there and stomp all over the place, you know. But anyway, I get in the water on that one, and it took me a little while to swim over because I'm swimming upstream in this one against the current, and always trying to keep the housing. By this point, I had learned, like, when we're in the water, trying split level, I got to keep the top of the housing dry, the dome port, I should say, because if that got water on it, the water drops were showing, and then I had stuff I had to clone, and if I want to use them for contest, I can't. So there were like these things. So I'm swimming, holding the housing in there. Thankfully it floats, but trying to keep the top half of it completely dry. I get up to the edge where I can stand, so I start going in. She's right. Like that was probably the muckiest spot I had been in too. It was pretty nasty. And so
secret graders hiding around.
Yeah, I walk in, and then I get myself to the point of where I knew I was going to use that log to kind of block me approaching. And then I get to the point where I can see underneath with my eye, and I was like, all right, let me look in this and kind of frame it up, see what it looks like. And that was the first moment I had any clue that there was fish.
So many fish there?
Under there. And I was like, in that moment, I'm like, my heart started racing.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because I knew, like, this was it. Like, because that was the previous day when we had the cormorant on
you didn't have
the
fish.
log. Yeah, so this one, number one, I didn't have, let me go back to this real quick. I didn't have fish here, right? But the other problem I still see with this is his wings aren't clear in the sky. Like, he's still intersecting, like part of his body's still intersecting the tree line.
He stands out a ton.
For sure. But this photo to me could be improved if the stump was up a little higher or I was closer and lower, right? To get him completely up in the sky and just not intersecting like these spots. Not a big deal. I still love the shot. I love how it ties in the perch underwater that you can see that he's sitting on. Like, I think that's all super cool, right? But to me, the improvement on this, and I knew it when I was shooting it, was like, if this tree line was just a little bit further away. Right? And so when we came to this scenario and I saw these guys up here, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, clear line of sight.
They're a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Now, they're not perfect yet, but there's, as I mentioned, there's some photos I'm not going to share. I can tell you though, it did happen, right? I did get them completely in the sky. So I knew that was happening because the perch was a little bit higher. And then the fish were there. And I was just like, serious. My heart was like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
this is the moment.
Well, I'm just like, all I can think in that moment is these birds better not fly. Like, I hope they don't fly away on me. You know? And sure enough, right after I got there and I took 1 or 2 of these and I'm still trying to figure out like where I can move to compose and all that, a second cormorant flies in, lands in the water. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I actually have shots of it coming in and swimming over. And then he jumps up and chases the other one off. I'm like, oh no. And then I thought he was going to, but he stayed. And then he starts flapping, and that's all the stuff I'm not going to show. Well, actually, I guess I did show these 2 here, right? So you can see the 2. Because the other one that got chased off ended up hopping back up on. And then they were like, all cool, right? But, you know, if you can use your brains and imagine a version of this.
No, don't tell them to
with a version of that. That is what happened. And so I came out of that particular shoot right there.
Like high.
Like on a high, because I knew I had captured it. I knew it wasn't even like a maybe. I knew in the moment. I shot so many shots. There were so many fish underwater. And I was just like, this is where it's at. Like, this is why we came here, like to get, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, he's so in the clear, up in the sky. There's interest in the clouds. Like, I guess that's one thing, right?
And even the trees, like seeing the trees with the Spanish moss, like above water.
Yeah, totally. I guess there's one improvement, like in hindsight, if I had noticed, I could have moved right and up a little bit and tried to put them all in the blue there, you know? But the problem was, there was other boats on the water.
Right.
And so I learned this as I was shooting this set. In that, and I don't know if I have any here. No.
That show the boats,
Maybe later.
You had to change the perspective.
If I went up a little bit, it still showed a great split.
Right.
But then I could see from the camera's perspective across the entire top of the water. I could see all the boats over there.
Right.
But for this, if I dipped low enough, I could still see out of the water for the top. But it was this line of water right here was hiding everything on the water, all the boats and other buildings and signposts and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And so I was able to just like clean up the scene by just dropping that perspective a little bit. And so yeah, it was just kind of a neat thing to sort of figure all that out and learn. And like, I feel like we still have so much to learn with this.
Oh yeah, and I feel like it's a lot of just like trial and error.
Oh, totally.
You know, and just more opportunities, the more comfortable you get using the equipment. And I think just like anything else, you know, when you get something new, you have to learn it and get practice with it before you can really, you know, master it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I know I still want to experiment with higher apertures on this stuff because we're shooting most of this all at f8, and it's still like, if I zoom in down here, you can see it's still not that sharp right here. It's about back here is where you start getting the like true sharpness. I think that's actually
I was going to say, is that a
swimming
turtle?
away.
Yeah.
I think he eventually like got popped off by one of the cormorants.
Yeah.
So I want to experiment with higher apertures, but then look, you can already see it's already at 640 ISO.
Right.
And you need a low ISO because this underwater portion does not look like this in the original capture. Because if you're exposing for this sky, that's what you get underwater.
Right.
You know, which isn't bad, totally recoverable, but I don't want my ISO skyrocketing because then this will turn into a hot, grainy mess.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to increase to like, let's say f16, which I think would be kind of maybe like a good spot for it, I got to start playing with cutting the shutter speed down. And then I need to really be there to be able to change all this stuff and experiment. And
that's also, you can't change all the settings, right? Like when
it's in the housing? Not right now. When it's in the housing, the housing we have doesn't give us access to the front wheel to change it. So normally that would be shutter speed on the back, aperture on the front, or whatever. And it doesn't do that. I have figured out how to be able to change everything I need to with how we're shooting, but it's not quick and easy.
I just don't change anything. I just go for it.
Oh, I mean, honestly, for most of it, I did. The only thing I experimented was exposure compensation because we did have it with aperture priority auto ISO. And so you would just like spin this one big dial on the back, which is on your thumb. When it's in the housing, you could lighten or darken the scene. I did do a lot of that. So I guess this is day 3 now because I think that's the day you took the 400.
I took out the 400 for the evening, I think.
Yeah. Did we go out twice with them when they were there?
Yeah, 3 times.
Okay.
The first evening, then the whole day, and then the next morning.
Gotcha.
So this was probably the evening.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
On all black like that. That's so damn
cool. I darkened the background a little bit, but it was pretty dark. There was just a few branches showing, so I just
gotcha.
Like darkened a bit the top half.
Yeah. But it looks like it was already pretty dark back there.
It was pretty dark. It was just there's just like a few branches back there.
But that's the thing. I feel like you can get away with that when it starts that way. You know, when it starts with a mostly dark background.
Right.
It's when I see photos that are edited where you could tell the background was light and then
but
it's
how
like
can you
masked
tell?
out. It looks that way. There's just something about the look of it.
Okay.
You can tell. Like the transitional area from here or even just the mask around it. Because like you don't even need an accurate mask when it's already mostly dark in the back.
Right.
You just kind of have to like get something in the background selected and then darken it just to get those branches gone.
Right.
It doesn't need to be perfect. But when it was brighter, and here's the other reason. Because when it's brighter background, there's still a sort of glow that happens along the edge of this.
Okay.
And then when you mask it and darken it, it looks cut out. Whereas these edges actually blend from black to black, right? Because it was already on a dark background. So it wasn't catching reflected light off of whatever the background was and onto the edge of your subject. And so that's the look that gives it away to me every time. When a lighter background was already there and then somebody just masked it. It's like, those edges look funky and weird, you know, and like you can just tell. And it looks bizarre to me. And I know I nitpick photos way more than most people, you know.
No, I was just, curious.
But that,
it is pretty.
I think that's the main reason why.
Yeah, I got a nice portfolio of wood duck photos. There's so many wood ducks there.
We
haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah,
there was like this one house where all the wood ducks would congregate. Like, I don't know, 15 of them?
At least sometimes, yeah, around that.
Yeah, and then we saw some...
And super tame.
Wood duck chicks too, different sizes.
Yeah, that's the other reason we went there.
What was?
To Rainbow Springs.
To the wood for the wood ducks?
All of these birds are tame.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we already knew that.
There's boats,
boats and people.
Paddleboards, kayaks, motor boats.
Yep. And then in season, which is not quite there yet, but like summer, probably tens of thousands of people through every summer tube in the water. So they're used to, all these birds are used to having people in the water and splashing around and being noisy and all that stuff. So we knew we needed to get close. I mean, it's basically like the perfect recipe for everything, you know? Like acclimated birds, you can do the wide angle stuff and get really close. Plus great conditions and clarity and all that stuff. That's really pretty too.
Thanks.
Yeah, nice. And this was your first time seeing full breeding plumage wood ducks?
Yeah. The only other time was in, where were we?
British Columbia.
And I think it was just, he was not quite in breeding.
He was transitional. He was rough looking wood duck. Yeah, he was pretty, and they look so messed up when they're transitioning into their full plumage. Yeah, they look so janky.
And then this was, you were shooting him on the housing, I think. And so I was like, well, I might as well just grab a frame filling portrait.
Because he was right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a gorgeous bird. Wood duck chick.
So I think that was the next morning.
Cute, yeah. Super cute.
And this, I just thought it was funny.
She's getting that grass. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
There's cool. Ray.
Yep, so there's the setup that we're shooting in the water.
So I think then this is when you had some waiting birds after this, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, this is awesome. This was in that.
I guess it was.
This was the last evening. Yeah.
Yep.
So we had these guys sitting out in the water or out in this branch. You were shooting all these. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great pairing, right? Look at even the color in the female.
Yeah,
right?
she's really pretty.
They're so pretty, but
blues and purples.
You put them next to the male, and it's like, I mean, this thing, they still to this day, when you really look at them, I'm like, how is that real?
Yeah, so many colors.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. I always love this gradient line of purple, blue, green right on the cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible, incredible birds. Yeah, if you've never been lucky enough to see these guys up close, and their calls are cute, sweet little high-pitched things. They're fun little things, and they're small too, smaller ducks. Oh, gorgeous lie down.
I think I included both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one do you like, people?
My mom voted for this one.
Oh, did she? You asked?
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you like it more green or more gold?
I don't know. Yeah, there's something I like about the lens flare on it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. They both work for sure.
Which one do you prefer?
I think I'm still leaning this direction.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh, I don't know. I do like the green tones in there. But the gold is nice.
It is. Yeah.
So, very similar moment. I don't know if it's just like the way I edited it or something.
I thought it was more, I assume, just like sometimes a little bit of a movement can change how the sun's hitting the front.
Oh, okay. Yeah, could do that.
And so sometimes when you get more lens flare, it changes the color.
So this was crazy.
Yeah. You want to share this story?
Well, you share it.
I'll share the first half. I get in the water for a common gallinule family.
Yeah, there were some chicks. Yeah.
Did you include the photo of the chick?
No.
Oh, that thing. He's crazy looking.
He's ugly.
Yeah, he's super ugly. So I get in the water for that. Those were the only birds around on this morning. This was our first morning, I think, on our own after my sister had left. So we went out, excuse me, a little bit earlier than we had been. So it was nice and quiet, not that many boats on the water yet. And I see this common gallinule family. I've already been in the water in this spot, so I know the underwater portion is really pretty. So I'm like, well, let me go see what I can do. Maybe I can get these chicks kind of close and get something. Nothing really panned out with it.
Yeah.
But
at some point,
I'm sitting there shooting, and I hear this noise behind me, and I just turn over, and there's a tricolored heron like 10 feet behind me.
And of course, I had the boat there. I was just like messing around on my phone.
I was like, when did this happen? She's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I immediately abandon the gallinules. And the main reason being, the gallinules were super friendly, but they're small, they're short.
Right, so it's hard
so
to
I
get.
couldn't get them to stand out amongst the vegetation. And I could have if they came really, really close, but they had the chicks. And they were still a little cautious, so I couldn't get like right on the edge.
Right.
The tricolored, I knew he was tall enough that if I got even remotely close, I could get low, get him up in the sky, it would work out.
And of course, I didn't want to just start paddling away because I didn't want to freak him out because he was close, so close. So we just had to kind of wait for him to act.
Yeah.
And so he ended up walking like right by.
I mean, he walked right by you right there.
Yeah. Do you have that video in there or no?
I'm not sure. We'll see.
Okay.
I shot this one just because I wanted to show like how he was right there. And again, it's like, I just love that peek into the underworld portion right there. You know?
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
So I got this right afterwards. So I moved over. So Emilie is in the boat just
to the left.
Of the camera. You're probably still in the shot. I cropped it out because it's so wide.
Yeah.
It was really hard not to. So I think this is my favorite of the set. I like the placement of them because you can see these grasses get taller here. And I think as he moved on,
he fits in perfect.
He got
right before
intersected into them.
Yeah.
So here he fits in. The only thing I don't like is he's looking away a little bit.
But
still.
It's
about the scene enough. It's not like I don't need eye contact portrait for this. I love the trees. I love that they're V'ing down.
Yeah, it really just all leans right into.
And then the grass is really pointing up the way they're kind of lit under there, dark, mysterious.
Really cool.
Yeah,
that turned out really
happy
great.
With it. Thank you. I think I had to clone out a building back there or something, you know, because that's, again, it's so wide and as beautiful it is as this place is, it is rather
very
developed.
Residential.
Yeah, so there's a lot of houses, on the docks, things like that.
Also a great one.
Yeah.
But there he is more intersected in the grasses.
And they're thin enough, not too big a deal.
No, like he's also like totally
a little bit taller there.
He's like the absolute, you know, where your eye goes kind of, you know.
I feel like, that's the thing, right? And it's a challenge with
like
this
he's the
stuff.
subject, you know,
It's a huge challenge with these shots at 10 millimeter to make the bird your subject.
Yeah.
Like the obvious subject, because you got to get so close. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if there's any photos or videos of me shooting this. And then here you got into the grasses, and it's just fell apart. And the underwater portion
is much more messy.
Fell apart. Yeah, it was just there was this raft of grasses that had all just built up from the current there.
Yeah.
And number one, it cast a big shadow on a lot of the underwater, but it also just made this clump of stuff there that just was not pretty.
Oh yeah, I guess not.
I guess that's out of sequence, that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, that's you just coming back to get me in the boat.
Yep.
There's me shooting in the housing. Or with the housing.
Ooh, that's a super fun, just like wave.
I kept it because no, it was just us moving. The current, like we were moving in the water.
Yeah,
at the time when I stuck it in, and that always kind of creates this big curve.
Yeah, I like that.
I'd love to get some birds with something like this.
Sure.
So it actually is making me think, like it might be fun sometimes if you have a really cooperative subject to actually swing it in there because you can create that curve just by pushing it through the water. Like that. So.
Right.
You know, again, we're really trying to figure this stuff out. You know, and then you got this.
Yeah, because you had put the housing. Insane. You had put the housing right there, like right behind me or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I don't know, closer for me to shoot. I feel
like
than you.
Yeah. And we were just trying to take turns with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And we had seen these river otters, and you're like, go for it.
Yeah.
And I think this was the only good shot. Like there were other shots with him in it, but it was
crazy.
Too small.
That's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And I love that the fish is there.
Yeah, that is really cool.
I have no idea
like
if he was going after it or not.
Line of
but it looks like it.
Yeah.
It looks like he's hunting it. And then just everything's so pretty.
Yeah, it is
a
good one.
The whole scene is just beautiful there. Yeah. So it killed it. And you shot this blind.
Oh, I had no idea.
Shove the camera under and see what happens. Like we saw them above on the surface, and then we would see them dive.
Didn't know where he went.
It's like, well, you might be able to see it. Shoot.
Yeah.
That's how we did so much of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really pretty.
Thanks.
Nice. God, look at those feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. They're so frumpy looking out of the water, but man, put them in the water and they're just elegant.
Yeah.
So elegant, the way they move and everything. Another little blue. This one I feel like wasn't as pretty. The vegetation under there is
it's a little scraggly.
It's not quite doing it, yeah. And now I think we're getting into where we're going to start seeing a lot of our underwater
stuff.
Birds, yeah. I love this one.
Yeah.
I love when he's just coming up. I guess The dream would be if it was a little bit calmer and you could see his reflection clearer, like almost touching, you know, would have been dope. But I mean, I still, thrilled with that. This one I kept just because I thought it was neat.
Yeah, it is fun.
You know, I know we can't see his head.
Yeah.
And it's out of the water, but it's just kind of neat to
you don't need
see
to
this side.
Yeah.
That all we normally see is what's sticking out of the water right now.
Right. Which is so funny because I was talking about how if you tried to do something like that here, because the same, you know, cormorants and Anhingas around here too.
In Hilton Head.
Hilton Head, sorry, yeah. But it's the water's so murky from just like mud and whatever that
it would look so nasty.
You'd never see it. It would just be like brown.
You wouldn't see anything. Yeah.
It'd just be brown.
And then even if you did, right? It's the same tie-in as, and it makes sense. But I guess I feel like what happens whenever I get anything new or ever start trying any new technique, my first thing is I get so concentrated on the subject. You know, just like the bird or whatever it is we're trying to photograph. And it's like all my other training and experiences like goes out the window of lighting, you know.
Composition.
Yeah, composition for sure. And how pretty is this environment?
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, you first get this underwater housing and it's just like the temptation is like to just use it in any scenario.
Right.
But the reality is a lot of underwater stuff just looks nasty.
Yeah.
It's just not that pretty.
Yeah.
There's nothing really that pretty to look at, or there's not enough detail there, or you can't see it enough.
Right.
And so while you can maybe potentially do split level in a bunch of areas, is it worth doing it in a bunch of areas? Is it going to look good, right? And it's just like, again, you got to just shoot through and experiment and try and realize, try and fail until you realize like, oh yeah, that's right. The same rules apply as what we do all the time with our, you know, normal wildlife photography. Put ourselves in a beautiful place.
Right.
And then all you need is wildlife anywhere in it.
Right.
And it's pretty easy, or it's easier.
It's easier to make the photo work.
To make a gorgeous photo.
Yeah.
Because you're already in a beautiful spot where, as you guys have seen when we've shared, some of these shots look amazing without any wildlife in them.
Right. Yeah,
and
it's
so
just a pretty environment.
Plunk a bird in there and there you go, right?
This is,
that's
he had
the one.
this, yeah.
That's
I have a bunch
so
from
cool.
there that I didn't like process.
We don't know what that thing was.
Yeah, so he came out of the water with
he
it.
Surfaced with it.
And then he went back under, he dropped it or something.
Yeah.
As he was trying to eat it, he dropped it. So I just shot like crazy.
Yeah.
I think I have like 30 shots. I don't know how many I put in.
Did you include a couple here? Yeah, there it is.
There it is. I thought that was kind of funny, his position.
It is funny. And this is a really pretty area again. See, you know, this is like, turtle. Shot. Yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah. And then, another cormorant dive. So we learned the cormorants were a lot tougher. They moved a lot faster.
Yeah, and they weren't as easy to see in the water because the Anhinga has the white in the tail, and so he could always pick that up.
Yep.
And so he was just harder to see.
Cormorants would kind of disappear underwater for us a lot,
So fun.
Yeah, but we still managed to get some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this habitat is just stunning. And like, I don't think I'm exaggerating if I say he's probably 3 feet away.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
At that point.
If he's that big.
Like this far away, we're talking. Like he would surface right next to the boat.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you do that. But like most of what we're getting was this kind of stuff.
Like smaller, much smaller.
5-6 feet out, which is still insane.
Like very close
for most birds.
But if you're shooting at 10 mil, then it's not so much.
So that was the challenge, right?
Yeah.
I guess in hindsight, we could have done more of the strictly underwater stuff with a 24 millimeter because we didn't have to worry about the above and below both being in focus.
Well, that would have been easier.
Yeah, like we would have probably had things a little bit bigger in there, you know, in the frame and stuff.
We'll have to go back.
Oh, I want to, for sure.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was just neat seeing all of this stuff. And
I think we already shared that video.
Oh, is that the one with the fish?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Unless there was another one.
That's probably just out of sequence. Second opportunity with this guy, or at this spot, I should say, up on this time. I think both of these first two were just me. I don't think you went in until the third time.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't include any of mine.
This time I tried to get in really low and close, and this one I included, just not because it's a good shot, just funny. His tail is coming over top of the lens there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Why does this keep coming up? Oh, they're different videos.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, there was just the thumbnail was showing differently.
Okay.
There we go. So let's check this out. So this will show you.
How close?
Yes. So this is me shooting that cormorant there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's how close. And for those last shots that you just saw where the tail was coming over it, I was even closer. It was closer and like more underneath, but look at him.
Look at him.
He would check you out and then look right back to preening. So that to me is like the key, right? Is like, we got to watch these birds. Like, yes, we know they're friendly. And just because you can get that close doesn't mean you're not disturbing him. But when he like goes into preening, but see, when he does that and turns around, I'm like, look, I back off, right? Because I'm like, he's getting a little uneasy, right? So it's all about reading it. But until that happened, I had been in the water right next to him for like many minutes at that point, and he was still preening and doing all that stuff. So that was the first indication of him being silly. And that, or not silly, scared. I don't know where silly came from there. But it may have been from me talking back to you. Like, I knew you were doing the video, and I was like kind of talking over there. So I don't know if that like put him on edge a little bit. Yeah, exactly. So let's see. And then we got this video of you. I don't know what you were working on here. Let's see. I think this is when you got in and shot the, was it Anhinga? Yep.
Oh, okay.
There he is, yeah. So that was you when you got in the water. And then I wonder if that previous video was something different and we just didn't know. Yeah, it was. Look at that. Let's check that out. This was the second part of shooting that tricolored heron.
Oh, okay.
He came down along the edge past the boat, and then you were able to get back out in the water and shoot this. So you can see there he is chasing some stuff in there.
Right, but at that point, you probably weren't getting great shots because he's so far into the grasses.
I kept hoping he would come out onto the edge again. Yeah. So that's why I was staying there. But yeah, it just never, I mean, he's right there.
But yeah, but he's deep buried into those grasses, so it makes sense that he, you know, wasn't showing well in the photos at that time.
Totally. All right, so back to...
I think we're at the,
last morning.
Nighthawks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a really early, we were out just before or right at sunrise.
I think, right before maybe. Yeah. Tried to get out there.
Yep. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it was great to see the Nighthawks flying around.
Yeah, those common Nighthawks are wild.
And then this osprey was fishing. He did die. That's kind of nice with the palm tree back there. I like that. Yeah. Ooh, that's pretty.
There's a good common Nighthawk showing off.
Ooh, and these ones turned out real nice, didn't they?
Yeah, so I'll show the video first on this one. Yeah, so this was a bird I definitely wanted the entire time, which was because they're white.
Yeah.
And big.
Yeah.
They're tall and white, and I know without the depth of field helping out, that if I shoot him against a background, especially the darker tree green background, I'm going to be able to make him stand out nicely. So that was my thinking for, you know, wanting to get this bird. And I took my time with him because he was like actively hunting.
Right.
But I was able to get in pretty close to him. So it was such a nice, quiet, calm morning out.
Oh my gosh, it was so nice. It was like misty. I think you can even, you can see some of the mist like floating by there. So beautiful just to be out there before any of the boats, like we had seen the whole morning. We saw maybe 3 other boats, and then right as we were getting off, it was like everybody was starting to come on. So it was funny. We were walking back to the campsite, and this lady was like, "Oh, you're already in and out?" It's like she was surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is always nicer to experience these places with solitude when you can.
We were just talking about that on the beach here this morning.
Yeah, we've gotten so spoiled to be able to come to places, and like usually in a place, getting out before sunrise is the key to having it to yourself, to enjoying it in, you know, solitude. Here in Hilton Head, you can't get out even if you get out before sunrise, because I woke up, I didn't sleep well last night, but I was up way before sunrise, and I already saw bikes out there and people walking. And this was like, 40 minutes before sunrise.
Wow.
So
it's a popular sunrise spot.
Yeah.
This beach for sure to walk on.
Yeah, and there is obviously hotels here because we're staying at one.
A lot of people.
A lot of hotels, vacation rentals, and everything. So much harder to have.
Yeah, and we were just saying it was a gorgeous sunrise this morning.
Yeah.
And we're still happy to be out there, right? But there's just a different feeling that comes with us being the only ones out there versus, I mean, there was a couple hundred people on the beach easily when we first walked on. And everybody was quiet.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
it
like
was peaceful,
loud and
it was
obnoxious
quiet,
or anything. But
it's just like...
feels different.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it, right?
Yeah.
Like
there's just
solitude.
a different level of peace and serenity that comes from like having a place in nature to yourself.
I feel like for me, for whatever reason it is, it's easier to connect with just the nature part of it.
Right.
Than when there's a lot of people around.
Yeah.
You know? Like, nobody did anything to cause me any more disconnect or, you know, it's like, it's not bad behavior.
I think it's more
sometimes
like
it is.
a distraction. Like it distracts from
I guess that's what
the
it
place. Because there's like, you know, hundreds of people around.
Yeah.
So it's just like people walking, dogs walking, this and that. And nobody was loud, nobody was bumping music or anything.
Yeah, right. And that
everybody's friendly,
sometimes.
saying good morning and stuff, everything. So it's like a very pleasant environment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not the same as like experiencing the river on the last morning with just fog, mist, and us and the birds singing all around. And there's just like, you can just fully immerse yourself. I feel like
it is that solitude. And I say solitude is the two of us
there,
right?
Right? Yeah, but
and that's like, even different than experiencing it completely on your own, which we've both done plenty of.
Yeah,
that's kind of, I would say, even like a next level of it.
No, for sure. Yeah,
I think it's different when it's somebody you know and you're really close with, like we are, that we can share and both talk the right language and say the same things and both understand what we're meaning with how it feels to be out there and share that experience. So there's a great, it can be elevated in that way of that shared experience with somebody that can appreciate it in the same way.
Yeah.
But then I think there's an elevation of the experience of just being the only one there, when it's just you, when it's just, you know, your brain can just fully only connect with that. There's nobody to talk to, right? So there's like another different elevated experience that comes along with that. And both of them, I feel like, are a much better experience, for me at least, than when there's a bunch of people around.
Right.
That's all there is to it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people don't ever have the opportunity to experience a lot of wild places like that.
Truly on their own, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the biggest thing I'm looking forward to with the workshop I'm about to do up in Nome.
Yeah.
Is taking all these people out that have either never been there or never even been to Alaska.
Right.
And taking them out onto the tundra. And, you know, like, it will just be us. So many of those places.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that we'll never see another car or another group of photographers, that we did cross paths with them when we were up there.
Yeah.
But 90% of the time, 95% of the time you're out there, it's just you. And you could scream as loud as you want, nobody's hearing you.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a like creepy way. I just mean like there's just nobody around.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
I love it, you know?
Right, yeah. But there's so much beauty within the landscape.
Yeah.
You know, and just being able to take that in and just like,
Yeah. So back to the photos. This was part of what heightened this experience that morning. You know, we had those great conditions and I had that white bird. So I offered it to you first to get in there. You were not ready.
No, it was
a little
cold.
cooler.
It was colder.
So it was a little cold to get in the water.
Yeah.
I can't decide on this one if I like that little floating piece of vegetation, because it is pretty, but it's not connected to anything.
It's almost like too big.
And so I got this one as well.
And
like
that has
I got
the
it,
fish
and that's
there.
got like a big fish in it, but he's like a weird shape. Then this one I have with
I love
more.
this one.
Yeah, this one, and I got. Oh yeah, that's the one. It's got a little bit of fish on the left-hand side there.
Yeah. I just love the, I don't know, darkness versus light.
I think that's my favorite of it.
Yeah.
I wish I had more of the fish there, and I should have stayed put longer. But I don't know that I was even seeing them at that point.
Right.
You know, even though I had my eye in the viewfinder. And
yeah.
So,
ooh, that's just showing how pretty it was that morning.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do, is just show. I'll leave the sound on for this one too, folks, so you can just hear what it sounded like, the birds calling.
Short and sweet.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. But yes, just a beautiful, beautiful morning in such a beautiful spot. So I did a little bit of shooting your 400 millimeter lens above the water with this great egret. You paddled me in a perfect spot for this backlit shot here.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was.
You're welcome.
It's beautiful. There we are, having fun out there on that last morning. And then, I don't know, I think this one's mine.
Yeah.
I shot a few of these. This diving sequence I absolutely loved. This is an Anhinga. And I kept wanting either this bird or the cormorant.
I think that's a cormorant.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. I kept wanting them on the in the deeper sections of water to sort of have that time for the dive and the separation and all that. But as we learned, they both, more the Anhingas, but both of them like to hunt.
They feed in the grasses, yeah.
And so the grasses were more available in the shallower areas, and so they ended up being there more often.
Right. Ooh, love the light coming through.
I know. I keep saying, like, I wish he was in there. I sent this to Brad. He was like, he said, I think it balances it. And I agree.
Yeah, for sure, because you have, like, the grasses on the one side, the light rays on the other.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know,
like if he was in that light stream going down, like, come on, that would have been pretty damn epic. So, just a fish because it's cool, right? We've never shot that kind of stuff. Let's see what this video is. And then Emilie got in the water. I don't know why I keep doing this.
I don't really like any of my shots from there.
For real?
Yeah, from that.
No. Did you share any? Do you know?
No, they're not in there.
Okay. What was it?
I don't know. I think I was walking around too much.
The underwater was not clear?
Yeah.
There was a lot of current?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I couldn't really get a footing, and the river is constantly running.
Yeah.
So I kept kind of being pulled away with the...
I got you.
With the current.
And you're shorter, so you weren't able to get your footing in there quite the same way as I could. Yeah, I get it.
And it was like I had just gotten in the water, so like the cold of the water was also like it's not that cold, right? 72 degrees, Fahrenheit.
Yes.
So it's not like it's, negative temperature water or anything.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I don't know. I think that had something to do with it.
Okay.
And I don't know. I just like wasn't comfy.
Yeah.
It was crazy to be so close.
It was cool, and I asked you like if you took a moment to even like take your eye out of the viewfinder.
Yeah, I was trying to be like very slow with my movements.
It's wild when you're like literally it's from here to here, and you're just staring at this bird.
Yeah.
He's just like looking at you sometimes, and then back to whatever, and just
it was very weird.
Like basically ignoring you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these were the shots. So after you did a session with him, you came back to the boat. We swapped out. I got in with the housing, and then I went in and shot some of this stuff. Again, there's some photos here that I'm really happy with that I'm not sharing, but I'll give you guys a little bit of a taste of what I did this time. So this is my third time in this exact spot with the bird on that perch. So I wanted to do a few things different. Brad had given me a suggestion of he wanted to see what it looked like maybe looking up at the bird, and so I'll show you as we go. But I also had, this was the first time there with this little bit of backlit sun coming in. Both of my other times, the sun was higher in the sky, and so not quite that quality of light. So I played with actually, like, because I know I could see it when I was shooting, there was a lot of lens flare. So I played with some with that, and then I tried to actually put it behind the bird. So I did some where you could see it coming out around the neck, and then some where I completely hid the sun, which actually, like, look at the difference in how it clears it up.
Yeah, I feel like I like that one better.
Just the clarity and contrast and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that shot works really well.
Yeah, thank you.
And just like nice, clean, like no other boats showing, you know, like.
Yeah, it makes it pretty clean. I may have cloned some stuff out. I don't remember at this point. And then I started getting really low. And I think it's really neat because it is sort of this perspective of like if you were a fish and near this bird, that's potentially the last thing you're going to see.
Yeah.
Is like this perspective.
Right.
Right? Of like looking up out of the water at this bird. And so guys, for this one, I actually had the housing basically just underneath the bird looking back up at him. And he just sat, like did not care at all. Like this bird didn't care at all. Was just looking around, you know, not even looking at me. Sometimes it would actually look down into the dome, which was really neat. But yeah, it was really cool. I like this one with the lens flare. I thought this was a good use of the lens flare on it, but it still doesn't show the underwater as nice as when you block the sun.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I flipped around the other side and started shooting some front light. And I like these.
That's beautiful too. Yeah.
I thought that worked out really well also. And then, yes, this is really that look that you'd get if you were the fish, right?
Yep.
That
last moments before getting pecked.
Yeah. And so this is where he was a little bit curious about it and showing. And so, again, I'm not going to show all of those because it is a very unique perspective that I don't think I've seen ever myself. I'm not saying it's never been done, but Then, let's see, I think I shot oh no, this one's you actually. Yeah, we shot more of these guys swimming around. That's cool. Look, you can see his big feet.
Yeah, his big feet.
That's awesome. Nice. Oh, that one's cool.
Yeah.
That's neat that you can see a little bit out as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. Oh, I like that one too. Like just the position. I also love like what happens under here with all the water there.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it can be distracting, but then other times it just has like a really cool texture and like it's more interesting.
Yeah, totally. Beautiful stuff. I love the bubble trail that happens when they dive too. Nice. Yeah, you're really getting to see him like getting in there. Oh, that's fun.
Just his head poking down.
Head poking down, yeah. Let's see what this is. Oh, I think this was just us. I think I just included this just so you can see a little bit of what it's like when we're trying to shoot from above the water there. Like, yeah, just throw it in the kayak.
Plunk it in.
There's the
Oh my
bird.
God, shows how close he was.
Like, that's what I'm saying. And see, he's just still hunting.
Yeah.
Like, they just ignore us, guys. Like, they're not, you know, he was on the left side. I lifted it out, dropped it on the right side, and then I just shove it on there and start shooting.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're doing. You know?
Yeah.
And then we're like, hoping when he's close, we're always saying, we're like, dive, dive, dive.
Yeah, to get
when
that
he's sitting
cool
up
behavior.
there, I mean, we are getting sort of this
Right.
when he's up there, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know? And then switch to Anhinga. There you can really see good those white tail feathers, and that's cool that you can see the big fish back there too, Emily. Nice. Oh, that one's a neat perspective. I love the grasses there.
Yeah, and that's where he has the fish.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
got
yeah,
his
you can see
fish.
it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it right there. And then I think you had one where it showed a little bit more, right?
I don't know.
There.
That one?
That one.
Yeah, but I feel like the bird's not as clear in that one.
What do you mean?
Like if you had zoomed in, it's just more
really?
like, I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks awesome.
And
That's
the
cool with
two
the big
fishies.
fish back there, the two
Yeah.
big bass. That's so cool. I love it. Actually, and there is something cool about that layer, that thin middle layer
of blue. Yeah.
of blue because it's so shallow there. Yeah. That's so freaking cool. How trippy does this look if you flip it? Wow.
Too trippy.
Yeah. And that
Oh my
was
gosh,
it.
and then we came back to Hilton Head, and the
Yeah.
next morning
Yeah.
we met up with Andy's Scrappy Photos.
Yes.
It seems so mean to say, but that's his Instagram handle.
Yes. Yeah. Andy and Fumiko.
Fumiko, yep.
We met up with them.
And-
They invited us to go out and shoot. They were in the area.
Yes.
And we happened to get back. So, yeah, we went out. The light was... this sky actually doesn't look bad.
I feel like there was maybe a couple of minutes with this little
Color?
bit of pink.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of was funky. I mean, like there you can kind of see the funkiness of the light, I feel like.
Yeah, but
those
I feel like
yellow
the sky was
tones.
great.
The sky was interesting.
But the lighting direction was just blah.
It was just,
Yeah, we had some fun out there.
this funky,
Like there. Like,
that looks nice.
yeah, it's all right, but it's still that flat, boring light,
I don't know. That one looks a little bit lit up,
Yeah.
but
That's really cool. I tried to do that, and I didn't get it.
yeah.
Yeah, nice job with the
a-
grasses. Ooh. Beautiful. Breeding Sanderling. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, really nice with the green.
I think
Oh,
I
you did
kept
great with them.
2 photos out of 225.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah. I kept this Sanderling just because I like the trees in the background.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
That was the only thing interesting
I like
there.
that, yeah.
And then this guy just because he's a stunning bird, but you know, I've
Yeah.
got shots of them and
Better.
better lighting
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's it. So that brings us to the end. So yeah, here's again just some of our favorites. Gosh, what a trip that was though,
Yeah.
down there. I had
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
I had so much fun.
I feel like I still need more time with it, obviously. You know, you need more time just to like practice.
With it meaning shooting it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like the more I use it, the more comfortable
Yep.
I get with it.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a great time. It's just, I mean, it would have been a great
could-
time to just go there with no camera at all.
Oh, sure. And just
And just hang
enjoy.
out. It's such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love being there. Florida's amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while until we get back there again, I think,
Yeah.
just with the way our schedule's going. We're definitely, like I said, heading north now to cooler locations, which is great. There's going to be some amazing stuff up there. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for following along. This is episode 20 that we're recording, we noticed, which is wild. We've done 20 of these
5
already.
months.
Yeah.
5 months of travels and wildlife photography.
Is it really already?
Yeah.
My goodness, yeah, because we started in December.
Yeah.
We did our first one like second half of December. Damn. Well, we got a lot coming up, so there'll be a little bit of a break, but we will come back to it as soon as we get some time. And then once we are doing that, I think it's gonna be a quick across the country.
Out west.
Back out west.
And then to Thailand.
A lot of new stuff, some Thailand mixed in there. We're gonna have a lot to show. So stay with us, and thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.